What's up, everybody? Well, had to go grab myself a bottle of water and a lighter for my spliff. How's everybody doing? Figured I had some downtime and was looking at the Delphi case this morning, so I figured if you guys wanted to ask some questions or get some conversation going, might as well. Oh, yeah, and I shoved a bagel down my throat. Hello, UK. What's up, Zen? 1,000 degrees, huh? That doesn't sound safe. Tamby, hello. Hope you're doing good. What's up, Dave? Hey, Jen. What's up, William? Yum. Yep, September is right around the corner. What's up, Miss Thang? What's up, Digital? Shout out to Seattle. What's up, Tamara? No, we caught you just in time. Yeah, and if anybody wants to call in, just go ahead and leave a message here and let me know what you want to talk about and why you're calling, and I'll go ahead and shoot you out the link. Yeah, hummingbirds are surprisingly friendly. What's up, Chopper? Which one, Zen? The sketch from the prisoner, the inmate? Yeah, Miss Thang, I was just gonna say that to you too. He got me all excited. The sketch from the prisoner, it's a fascinating picture. Yeah, there's a lot going on with that. Could be nothing, but then again, there's some strange detail. Oh, the one that illuminates the face? Yeah, let me see if I can find that. We can take a look at that. Yeah, I think that's the sketch you're referring to. Or not sketch, but the image. Courtney said, "How did you make that image?" Well, I basically put it into my video editing dragged it into my video editing software, the original video, and I studied it frame by frame. Then I started noticing double exposures and cascading imagery and just basic, image pollution from movement combined with pixelation. So I noticed that whoever provided, the image that we've all been handed, to media and given out on websites, indiana.gov under the Delphi case, whoever edited that image focused in on a set of exposures right down the middle to try to give you that image of what they thought the guy looked like. But there's a lot of other um, captures of this person, and I believe this is one of them here. So it's basically just trying to find out what's hidden on the darker side of the image. Because if it's a full image of a guy's face, that means that he does have a lighter side somewhere there. So I just kind of searched the spectrum, the color spectrum on the image, and I was able to find that. Yeah, I have everything. I have that specific moment saved. So all the settings, and that way it's easy to recreate if I need to. So that was the image that Zen was referring to. Sub D. Yeah. Veronica says, my problem is trying to put into the timeline what happened to the girls. It just doesn't seem that the murders could have been done in such a short time and then no searchers found them. Yeah, it's very strange. But you do have to remember there was a lot of tall grass there. It was dark. But you do have a good point. You know, how do they coerce two teenage girls across the creek, under duress, I guess? How do you do that while there's people obviously just behind them? Somewhere on, there's people out there. It's like, how do you commit a double homicide and nobody knows anything about it? And this is something I've been looking at a lot recently is Riley Park, because we know that the girls were there. That's when Abby and Libby met up. So I've been kind of taking a look at those trails. And right here, you can tell, the man made trails that are going through here. But they lead right to the south side of the bridge. And the only reason I looked at this information is because some of Libby's closest friends, when they were asked to search, they were searching from Riley Park to the bridge. Now, what would make them, you know, to them, it was common sense. Okay, we know that it's almost as if they knew that they were supposed to be in between Riley Park and the High Bridge. But it's kind of strange that if they were the only way to get to this trail is to get onto the private drive, which is down the hill there on the south end of the bridge. So from Riley Park to the southeast end of High Bridge is this trail to Riley Park. So I just find that interesting. And then mixed with the fact that they were there the day before. Yeah, that is a good image. Have that right here somewhere. Yeah, it's almost like they were walking over there to meet somebody. That's why I wanna hear what was going on with that video, so we can stop guessing. What's up, Rain Dancer? Tamara, it's my understanding there was a lot of kids there, ranging from younger teens to, somewhat older, 16 and up range. Yeah, before 3 or right around 3 or yeah, they had to be out of there by 3. And apparently the video of this guy coming at the girls on the bridge was at 2 what was it, 2:17, 2:13? So, I mean, that's plenty of time if depending on how, exactly what took place. We're assuming, down the hill, attempted assault there, or they try to run, maybe a chase, and then the attack. So, I mean, you don't need 45 minutes for that to all go down. Mhm. Oh, yeah, Libby was a swimmer. She was an athlete. Yeah. Dave says, "I truly don't think law enforcement has been honest about the timeline." They kinda hint to that too. Burstyn, he's always talking about, something to the left, something to the right, or, some information that's being withheld that only the killer would know, and that could have a lot to do with the timeline. Because in an interview, even, Mike Patty says that they haven't told him whether or not the girls were taken and brought back. So the family doesn't know that 100%. Maybe that is part of the key to all of this that they're keeping from the public. The one thing that could kinda separate a false confession. And anybody that would know for a fact would have had to come in contact with the killer or is the killer, type of situation. Yeah, we're only staying here for about an hour. I'm just killing some time. So if you have something you want to call in about, theories, questions, comments, direction you want to take the conversation, let me know. Yeah, but I'm not quite sure what you mean. I mean, if you're referring to them not being able to identify them when they originally found them, I think that's just standard. You know, you don't wanna be the one to ID somebody that you don't know. She's, um she's cleared up a lot of that information. That comes from Becky Patty's when she breaks down the timeline. She talks about Derek German coming in contact with a guy wearing a flannel shirt, and then we understand it to be, Dan McCain. Yeah, that's a good theory. Yeah. Because of these 2 images, it makes you wonder if he was already out there on the south end and, um, maybe surprised them, like they were already they didn't even notice, he just pops out on the bridge, and they're like, "Oh, wow. Uh-oh." And as he passes them, they're like, "Wow, let's film this guy." Because I guess they did that a lot. They would, like, film anybody they thought was strange, they would, like, film them and kinda make fun of them, I guess. And even, Julian Powell said when they interviewed him, they asked him, "Oh, so what, you were out there taking photos and they made fun of you?" So I'm wondering if that's like a missing piece of the video. Like the girls maybe making fun of whoever it was, and then boom, before you know it, the guy turns around. And they're like, "Oh shit, we didn't expect this to happen. Like this guy's coming at us." But the whole time he's all part of the whole, catfish, whoever's catfishing them. So he could have just been watching from afar, maybe with some binoculars, and just thinking, "Man, I hope they come across this bridge. If they come across this bridge, I got them. I'm gonna go through with it. If they come all the way across the bridge, I'm gonna go through with my plan." So yeah, that's a good theory. Time, pressure. I have a feeling next time they have a I'm thinking the next, February 13th of, 2023. I mean, they have to. Unless they're working some leads, unless they're doing something and they're, I don't know, but feels cold. Yeah, the cemetery very well could play a much bigger role or part than what we think. It could be very simple. It could be, as simple as somebody pulling up into the cemetery, hiking down for whatever reason. Maybe they had other reasons and then they saw the girls. Maybe they were unaware that it was a snow day. They weren't expecting children to be there. And they definitely maybe assumed that they were alone. Maybe they assumed that there wasn't all these people on the bridge because the majority of them, I guess, were over there at the Freedom Bridge. Well, yeah, flannel shirt guy. Well, I mean, he was right there. He was right at the bridge at 3 when Derek, if that's him, I don't even know if he is the flannel shirt guy. What's up, Vanessa? Yeah, she did say that, but I think she um, either clarified what she meant or was more specific. I'm not sure. I'll have to find that. Yeah, they haven't provided us anything. Yeah, Dave says, wondering if that's why Libby's shoe was off. They were already at the creek at some point. Yeah, what if they all. Yeah, that's strange. Why would her shoe be there? See, and I make mistakes as well by assuming it was stuck in the mud. I always assumed that the shoe was stuck in the mud. It's just the easiest explanation to how you're going to lose a shoe and how people aren't going to see it for almost 2 days. Yeah, there was multiple searches underneath that area of the bridge and nobody found it. And ultimately, I think it was the shoe that led to them finding the bodies, if I'm not mistaken.
Hey everyone, how you doing? I'm back at the bridge. This is the creek that way. So here I am. I'm on the other side.
Yeah, this was when Randy walked from the bridge up to the cemetery. Yeah, very well could have been Keegan Klein and a friend of his. Whoever his friend was, I think, would have to be somewhat athletic if he was able to chase both girls across that creek in what appears to be going up the cliff bank. Sees through says, if he is on the south side, how do they have a conversation about a guy following them? What conversation? Have you heard this conversation? Do you know where I can find this conversation? And that's the point I was trying to make earlier is that we assume all this stuff. We hear the family say it, so we take it as fact. But then even when new information comes out, the family's just as shocked as we are. For example, Kelsey German said, well, they told us it was new technologies where they got the young sketch. We know that that's not true anymore. We know that somebody actually helped and provided information to that sketch. So the most confusing thing about all of this is what is fact and what's not. We've been assuming certain things about this case for so long, we just take it as fact. It's possible, Veronica, because they don't know. Mike Patty doesn't know for sure. He says with all his resources and him, being so close to the case that from everything that he sees, he doesn't believe that. Everything, all the information that he has would tell him otherwise, but he doesn't know for sure. Hey, Marv, Frank, how you guys doing? Or is that just Marv, I think? Yeah, they need to come up with a new audio sample, and they need to have somebody else work on the video. They need to have NASA try it again. Do something new. You never know. That's possible, Chopper. It could be that it is a coincidence. They would call that circumstantial. Um, but the thing is that it's possible that Keegan, if you listen to the, if you read the transcript and you kind of get an idea of the conversation that was going on, um, he kind of talks like, "Hey, I don't remember saying that. I'm not into that stuff." But then he's totally okay with this other stuff. And I know some criminals do that to kind of make themselves seems less bad or whatever. But to me, there seemed like no reason for it. Wouldn't change his charges. It wouldn't change this from that. And he seemed so confused. Like, I wouldn't say that. He's like, what the heck? And then they're asking him, they're like, well, who has access to your phone? And he's like, well, my friend does, you know? And for some reason, they just were ignoring that. So I hope they're not out there trying to pin this on somebody. So it could be somebody, he could be totally ignorant, somebody using his information to target somebody, knowing that it'll only lead back to him. And if the killer is using Keegan's Anthony Klein profile without him knowing, even better. When they get him into the interrogation room, he's going to say what he already said. I don't know. I don't remember talking to her. I don't remember saying all that. I talked to her friend. What's the difference? Even if you talk to her friend, that's connecting him to her. And I think even eventually he admitted to it. Like, yeah, I guess. I mean, I must have. Like, who else? It's kind of like who else would be doing this? So there's part of me that believes that part of his story. That if somebody is doing it, that's connected to him, they may be, they may have done it without him knowing, without his knowledge. I've never heard that before, Levi. Carrie Studio says Sean Harmon tells the truth. Father is BG equals Dennis Harmon, young bridge guy, Dylan Harmon, grandson. Yeah, I just don't subscribe to that. I'm not saying it's not possible, but I don't subscribe to it in the least. Well, I mean, if you're using a catfish account and the person who created the catfish account doesn't know that you're using it, in a way, it's like a perfect crime. It's almost like you're setting somebody up for a murder. And I can even see maybe somebody affiliated with Keegan Klein showing up and being like, getting him down the hill and then being like, look, I know I'm not the model or whatever, but maybe you should give me a chance. And then the girls were like, okay, like, yeah, we'll talk to you or whatever. And then he just wouldn't leave him alone. And they're like, well, maybe we'll call you or something. And then they, try to get out of there. And he's like, no. And then that's when they bolted. Yeah, she didn't care about the shoe. See-through says whatever was happening when she lost her shoe, she had no time to put it back on. Yeah, she could care less about that shoe. Now, in my mind, what I'm seeing is that she took off and the shoe, wedges into the mud and she doesn't even think twice. Boom, she's gone. She may have even gotten away successfully and came back for Abby. I mean, why else do they always insert that into the story that they stuck by each other? So I'm wondering if that's part of the storyline. Breadcrumb, yep. I wonder if in the phone too, they said it was about 20 feet from the crime scene, and if the bodies weren't even 20 feet from the bank line, I mean, the phone could have been found in the water. Okay, so I can see okay, they both run across. Libby crosses, Abby gets caught, tells Libby to come back. Like, get back here or I'm gonna hurt your friend. And then while he's communicating that to Libby, his partner, who is not in such good shape, maybe like a Tony Klein type, or like a Keegan Klein, a heavier set, is making his way across the creek slowly, you know. But once Libby comes back and says, "Hey, we'll let my friend go," then boom, the friend grabs her, and then they go up a little bit, and that's when it happens. Because I do have a feeling that there was more than one person. One would have had to been athletic to catch Libby. I know she was the bigger of the two, but she was the more athletic girl. For some reason, she's the one that got across that water. She's a swimmer. So, yeah, that's just how I see it. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I do remember Becky saying that. She would just flick off her shoes. That's how I am. I don't ever tie my shoes. I tie them just tight enough for me to slip my foot out. Hey, Beach Fairy. Yeah, they ran for it. One of them got caught and was like, "Hey, I'm not gonna hurt you. Just do what we tell you. Just come right over here," and kinda hid a little bit into the woods because there's kind of a hill right there. Kind of right here where you can kinda see Randy walking up that ravine. Like, right at the bottom of that ravine, if you go up a little bit, you're hidden. So that's all they did. They went far enough to be hidden from, the bridge and the trails, and that was it. So if that's what happened that time, to me, that would take, what, 20 minutes? 30 at the most? And then another maybe 15 minutes to flee out of there? Apparently, a lot of people seen him out there. We don't hear a lot about it because they were minors. They may even have a lot more information than we could even imagine. They might have the whole storyline. Well, maybe the DNA could improve that it was them, but now they know that they can't be excluded. So maybe they do have a match, just nothing they can come out publicly with. Yeah, that's true. I agree, William. They don't need to put any gruesome details in it, but I would like to know what type of conversation, um, what was the tone of voice, what kind of conversation were they having, you know? Yeah, he definitely could have gotten lucky with some planning. So he could be wearing a disguise. Um, and it's possible everything that he's wearing there on the bridge, he discarded there or put in a bag and just walked out of there. I mean, they were searching for those girls, you know, it took them till 12 the next day to find him. So that gave him all that time to get out of there. And people could have seen him and just not remembered. You know, why? Why notice somebody that's just kind of walking by you or walking on the side of the road? There's no reason to remember that. D says, "What mud though? I don't agree with the creek was flooded that day they went missing theory. Either do I. The pictures taken by Keener showed bone dry creek beds. No, they weren't dry because there was snow the day before. So the snow, the day warmed up and it melted all the snow that was right there on the edges and caused it to be muddy. So it wasn't flooded; it was just from melted snow. At least that's the way I understand it. Yeah, it could be more. I'm thinking at least two. Unless this guy was, you know, unless he's more sophisticated than what we can expect, and he's not young. He's maybe older, smarter, stronger, kind of like a Thomas Bruce type, you know, like if you don't do what I say, you don't get any second warnings. He controlled 3 women with a gun. One woman didn't do what he said, and boom, he just killed her instantly. And then the other two did exactly what he said. Tamara says, "Why would the girls dart across the creek? Abby's family lives fairly close by. And why not take a chance running down the road instead of freezing cold, effing water?" Well, the thing is, Tamara, they're both familiar with that area. They know what's going to be in one direction and they know what's going to be in the other. Um, but also, if somebody's attacking you, you're really not going to think, you know, you're just going to run, you know, boom, you're just going to sprint. And I think a reason that they're going to head towards the cemetery, or if they know why they ran in that direction, because that's where they were dropped off. That's where their safety is. That's where that road is, that's the way back. How do we get back from this nightmare? That would be the direction back to where it all started, the drop off point towards the Mears property. Yeah, because I mean, KK and TK would both have the same type of DNA, and they would know that they were related. So, and we know all the information on Tony Klein. We know. All we know is that somebody else within that house was using uh, Kagan's devices. So, who else was that? Oh, well, it's got to be his dad. Well, it could have been him. We don't know what was going on at that house. We don't know if they're having parties, getting all messed up, on PCP and acid and mushroom and whatever else it was. Who knows what's going on there? We have like the smallest part of a puzzle when it comes to the picture of what was going on over there with those guys. Yep, straight line. Straight line is the quickest route to anywhere. Boom. And whatever a straight line is away from whoever's trying to attack you might have just happened to be straight across the creek. But they're familiar with that. There's a picture of Abby fishing right there, not where they crossed there, but on the opposite side of the bridge, kind of more downstream of her fishing over there. So, I mean, she's familiar with all that area. They know what's down there. Guarantee they've hiked back there. I'd put money that they've hiked back there. I mean, that's just what kids do. Especially cemeteries. When you're that age, cemeteries are just really, they're spooky, and I don't know. There's just something about a cemetery when you're that age. How would you know that? Where would you find that information? Yeah, they might not wanna scare them off. That's a good thought as well. Like, why scare them off when we know you're not going anywhere? But then again, I don't think so. I don't think they have any suspects. I don't think Keegan's gonna talk. I think he's already made his deal. He's probably gonna serve 30 years, time served. And at the next presser, they'll release more information, probably the full video or something that we don't know. Yeah, they don't want to go to jail. Beach Ferry, you're absolutely right. That's why they're cowards. They do everything behind a computer, you know? They're probably afraid to even go outside. But it also leads to fantasy. And we know a lot of these killers, that's what motivates them is fantasy. And if we have this killer who's leaving signatures, whether he did it purposefully or not, we don't know, but if he's doing something like that, it could be part of the fantasy. What do you mean, Joe? Like they went through and got rid of all that information? Yeah, but they took TK's DNA. So if it's him, then we need to have the talk about the DNA. Yeah, there's too many chickpea. Well, the case is Tobe's. The case belongs to the sheriff's office. Doesn't mean he's like the lead investigator. No, nothing. The sound of that name makes my skin crawl. Lost shoe and water level slowed them down. Robert Bo Pennell. Why has nobody rolled on this guy in attempts to collect the huge amount of reward money? If we understood this, it might exclude a lot of possible theories. Well, it's not that I don't like Lindsay. I just don't like the information that I'm hearing on there. The whole pregnancy stuff just made my stomach hurt. It's not that I don't like him or that I'm calling him a liar or anything. I just don't. There's just something about the information, how it was provided, and some other information that I read too. But it's all love. I don't know. I don't hear a lot about. I know that they were both athletic, but to me, it seems like Libby was like. She seems like she could have been an athlete. You know, like she had the frame for it. Yeah, that's possible, Chickpea. The only issue I have with that, Chickpea says here in a comment, maybe she lost her shoe in the rough terrain because he was pushing them to go fast. He didn't let her stop and get it. It's possible. The only reason I'm led to believe it was stuck in the mud is they searched that whole area. You know, Kelsey and a big group went down there. They searched it. Kelsey left. She came back and searched it. Still didn't find anything. And they had been out there searching, you know, while she was gone. And then it was at that point, right after the second time she was down there, that they did find the shoe. So either they just overlooked it or it was like stuck in the mud somehow. But from what I understand is once they found the shoe, and this is why this also leads me to believe it was stuck in the mud because once they actually did find it, they kind of could see the footprints leading through the water. And I'm wondering if that's when it clicked, like, oh man, they may have crossed the creek, and they look across the creek, and that's when they discover the scene. Yeah, Jen, I've never heard that. I know that Murder Sheets believes that it's Tony Klein. I know they believe that. You can hear it in the bias reporting. And they are most likely right. But if it's not Tony Klein, then we got to ask, who is it? You know, sometimes it seems like people just get lazy. Like, oh, it's got to be Tony Klein. Look at the transcripts. Are you blind? It's like, bro, I am looking at the transcripts. Who's Adam? Who's the 40-year-old guy? What about all these friends that had access to the phone? Like, what are you talking about? Oh, we got a super chat. Tom N with the $10 super chat says, I've always thought there was two guys. I think Kagan was at the south end of the bridge and Tony was BG and came from north side of the bridge. The down the hill voice sounds like Kagan. It does kind of sound like Kagan, and it could be the case. Because the bridge guy, in a lot of ways, does look like Tony Klein. But then again, you have to ask yourself, does he have an alibi? Can you put him at the bridge? What about the DNA? You know? What about how tall he is? How tall him and Keegan is? So, I mean, there's just a lot of what ifs. It's definitely not cut and dry, but yeah, it's definitely logical. But to say it's like definitely like, oh, case closed. Yeah. To me, that would be lazy. Yeah. I mean, Gray Hughes has done a lot of cool stuff too. I ain't got nothing against the guy. I think he's just sick of I think he just feels he needs to answer all these questions when really he just needs to learn to ignore them. So I think he just got himself exhausted, got grouchy. Yeah, thanks Tom for the support. That was a good question too. Holly says if the girls were meeting somebody from Snapchat, this would show up on the girl's phone. Yep. Where do you want to meet? At the entrance or by the bridge? See, there's even part of me that wonders if meeting on the south end was the girl's idea. You know, they were like, well, let's meet him over there. And then if we want, we can just sneak down underneath here, you know, to the bottom. And we can see anybody coming. And if you know, if it's some kind of trap or setup, we'll have the upper hand. But if they provided that information, like, hey, meet us on the south the south end of the Monon High Bridge on Monday. It's a snow day. Meet us there like around 2. If they told him that a day or 2 in advance, I'm wondering if whoever did this would go out there and kind of case out the location. So they don't have to be completely familiar with it. They can familiarize themselves with it also. Yeah, Lisa, that's possible too. They could have been so focused on the bridge guy, they had no clue that somebody was kind of sneaking up from behind. That's possible. No, no indication they were meeting, other than law enforcement telling Kagan in the interview, like, "Hey, we know you said that you're going to plan to meet them out there," but that could have been a lie. They weren't under oath. Yeah, either he's not local or he's wearing a disguise. Maybe the person that's on that bridge is actually a very fashionable person and doesn't dress like an everyday, Midwesterner. You say over 30? Yeah, it's hard to tell. It's like no matter what I do, it always leads me back to that video and trying to work on that evidence. Just trying to look at it and look at it and look at it. It's really the only thing solid. Hmm. Jacqueline Keeley, that would have to be a very large conspiracy and too many mouths to keep quiet. Oh my God, Holly. Look into the family. Yikes. Yeah, not to mention how blurry it is. Like even the size, how tall he is, how wide he might be. It's all misleading. Yep. Kim Riley admitted that. He said they had a very difficult task ahead of them because of all of the contamination. There's people urinating, spitting tobacco, smoking cigarettes, and yeah, that's horrible. So that could play a huge part in what's going on also. Maybe somebody connected with Keegan Klein was there at the search. That would be awful for the case. Yeah, Levi, I agree. Yeah, he could have very because I know that they mentioned the ruse, manipulation. So oh, sorry guys, I'm missing your super chats. Tom with the $5 super chat says, I think TK and KK going to Vegas right after should raise a huge red flag. How did they afford it? Did they sell access to an account? Yeah, it's very possible. And also, Kagan talks about, you guys know I was meeting somebody there, right? He kept asking them, I was meeting somebody, right? For the weed. It was for weed. It's for weed, right? I was like, what? I thought that was suspicious. Hey, what's up, Frank? Okay, we got another super chat from Tom. I definitely don't think it's cut and dry. I've watched almost all of your content. The only one outside of these guys that I thought could be BG was the teacher Kuntz from New Hampshire. Never heard of that guy. Glenn says, but why would suddenly TK and KK become killers? Why the rumored injuries on Libby? Why take two girls in the middle of the day? And if there wasn't any sexual assault that we don't know, why both father and son? Yeah, and it's from statistically speaking, that doesn't happen very often, like a father and son thing. So that's another reason I don't look at Tony. I'm looking more at somebody associated with Keegan Klein. Chickpea says, when a person is looking down like BG, it changes the proportions of the face. Still, it looks like he has a short space between his nose and upper lip, or a short mustache space. Yeah, I'm thinking of some type of mustache goatee. No, I can't, Dandelion. Sometimes it looks like a hat, like a bent build hat, curved build hat. Sometimes it looks like a flat build hat. Sometimes it looks like a hat with a hoodie over it. Sometimes it looks like a beret. Sometimes it looks like one of those hats with the little fluffy ears coming down. Sometimes it looks like a short hat with a folded end that kind of buttons up at the top, kind of like a Civil War style hat. But it's most likely a cap, maybe a short billed cap, but I don't know. Yeah, they could have had a secret. They could have been um, doing their own sleuthing. Who knows? It's the motivation. We're trying to figure out how something like this would happen. It's just mind boggling. Like even Ron Logan, he's like, I don't understand it. He's like, this is even my property, and I don't know what the hell. Like, how do you explain this? But the truth is, that's what the bridges are designed to do. They're designed to put you in, across tough terrain. So when you put that bridge into play, it's very easy for them to get to where they were, because that bridge helped them get there. It took them over all the tough terrain. All they did was go down a hill and across a creek. It was like 900 feet at the most. Question is, I think the better question is, why were they on that bridge? Were they just having fun? Were they just getting some photos? Were they meeting somebody? And why them? Why those girls? Allegedly. Yeah, manipulated the situation, crime scene. But I was talking maybe more in like as a ruse. Like, hey, you're trespassing, I'm a police officer. You guys can't come back this way. I just can't allow you to do that. Well, where are we supposed to go? We'll go down the hill, you know? Then as soon as they get down the hill, he's just like, okay, now I got you where I want you. They're like, hell no. Boom. Take off running. Yeah, right here in this picture, it looks like a hoodie. And this is part of the reversed image. Yeah, I'm gonna change that back to the other way. It's probably confusing to people. Jacqueline says, well, the 14th was the only day when there was any evidence of them and no information on cause of death, etc. No witnesses coming forward to the crime. OD was the theory. Yeah, I guarantee there's a lot more information that law enforcement has about what the girls were doing there, who they were with, where were they at? Were they running from the Freedom Bridge to this side? And then they said, "Hey, we'll meet back up with you guys. We got to go take care of something." Yeah, Glenn, that's what I was referring to. Glenn says, "I know in other cases the FBI said it was very unlikely, and I believe he's referring to father and son like duo." Oh, yep. If you want to be a member, we're going to have another members meeting tomorrow, guys. So keep a lookout for that. And then I'm going to have a panel, hopefully Tuesday, if the special guests can, if they're able to meet up at that time. I'm going to check with them. But yeah, we got some cool stuff lined up. Members meeting tomorrow, and then Tuesday, hopefully, a nice panel. We got another super chat here from Tom N. Brian Coots from Valsperio, Indiana. He was living on North Manchester in 2017. He had to drive through Peru to get to Delphi. Yeah, Delphi is like a midway point, you know, from Logansport to Lafayette or Peru and Lafayette for that matter. And the FBI asks, hey, well, we're looking for somebody. Let's say they called sick from work. But when you got home, you realize, hey, they really weren't sick, or they missed a meeting, or you had a prior arrangement, and they gave you an excuse for not showing up, but now it just doesn't hold water. So anybody driving from Lafayette to Logansport for work, it's definitely somebody on the radar. If they called in sick, or if they were supposed to meet with family, didn't show up, something along those lines. All right, guys. Well, that's going to be it for me. I'm going to get out of here. I appreciate everybody that participated. Tom, appreciate the super chats. Sorry if I didn't get to your comments quick enough. I'll keep an eye out for those super chats in the future a little bit better. Just so everybody knows, whenever I see a super chat, the reason they're doing that is so they can kind of bring themselves ahead of the chat and get their questions there. Hey, what's up, Joe? Hey, what's up, Captain? Who said you said that? I never heard. I don't. I didn't ever hear that. How's your Sunday going? Looks like you're catching us right at the tail end here. Legendary. Yeah, Glenn. Glenn says the odds of two people fantasizing about killing young girls and finding each other and also actually going through with it, I don't know. My gut feeling says this is one guy's fantasy. Well, honestly, Glenn, a lot of the stories that I've covered, there often are two, especially when it comes to young people. When it comes to thrill killing and things like that, they two lost souls meet often. They come up with these plans to kill. So yeah, it happens more often than you would think. Especially if you're sharing in child porn, you're like, "Hey, guess what else I'm into?" And it just keeps getting worse and worse and worse. Before you know it, you guys are part of a cult or something. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm going with these theories. Freedom says, "What do we think about the Klein selling the naked pictures to someone who wanted to meet her and the guy ended up murdering Libby?" Yeah, or the Dropbox information, you know? Like, "Where did you get this photo? Who is this?" "I'll pay you for the information." Maybe Kagan doesn't even know who it is. He's like, "Yeah, give me some money. I'll sell it to you. How much? I'll give you 5 grand." Yeah, you guys all have a good night. Captain says it was just a comment someone left in your chat. I wanted to clarify. So, FYI, he never said it was 100% Tony Klein, but it could be. The evidence would suggest that. Later, William. Thanks a lot for contributing in the chat. You too, Levi. USA Libertarian. Sorry I didn't get to all your comments. Yep. Good night. Hey, Izzy. Thanks, Hippie. Chopper. Good to see you as always. Randy, thanks for letting me use this video. I appreciate it. Make sure you guys check out CD later. You'll probably see me in the chat. And members, keep an eye out for the notification. And on that note, peace out.